So you want to buy a hotel, not a chain, one building, 150 rooms off a highway exit, decent breakfast, a parking lot that fills up on Friday. And you've run the numbers because everybody runs these numbers, 150 rooms, $160 a night. That's $24,000 a day walking through the front door. Call it $8.8 million a year out of a building that mostly just sits there. Hire a manager. Put a brand on the sign. Collect. Last year, the average American hotel advertised $160 a night. It collected $100. And that $60 didn't go to the brand. It didn't go to the booking site. It didn't go to the management company. Those come later, and they take plenty. Nobody took this $60. It's the money that wasn't there on the nights nobody showed up. Because a hotel is the only building in real estate that has to resell 100% of itself every 24 hours. An apartment signs a 12-month lease. An office signs 10 years. A storage unit rolls over month after month until somebody bothers to cancel. A hotel signs a one-night lease 150 times over, 365 days a year. And every single morning at 11 o'clock the whole building goes back on the market. Miss a night and it isn't inventory anymore. Here is no warehouse. You cannot sell last Tuesday. That's the trade. It's why hotels earn more per square foot than almost anything else you can build. And it's why, in one specific year, this industry threw away more than 1 billion nights it could never get back. We'll get to that year. First, the part everybody underestimates. Getting in. A hotel isn't priced like a building. It's priced by the key. One key, one room, one door with a number on it. And the industry quotes everything that way because it's the only honest way to compare a roadside motel to a resort. And the spread on that price is enormous because a key is not a key. At the bottom, limited service and mid-scale extended stay hotels ran about $167,000 a key to develop last year. That's your highway exit. Interior corridors, breakfast bar, no restaurant, no banquet hall, nobody in a vest parking your car. Select service, the kind with a bar in the lobby and a small gym nobody uses, runs $223,000. Put a real restaurant and meeting rooms in it, and you are at $409,000 a key. And luxury clears $1 million a room. One room. That one person will sleep in. For one night. So take the hotel you were imagining. 150 select service rooms off the highway. That's about $33 million. Not of revenue. Of cost before a single guest checks in. Most of it borrowed. And here's what you actually bought for it, the right to try to fill it again tomorrow. Which brings us back to the missing $60. The number on the sign has a name. Average daily rate. It's what a room goes for when somebody buys it. Last year, nationally, that was $160.54. But nobody in this business runs on average daily rate because it only describes rooms that sold. It says nothing about the ones that didn't. So the industry uses a different number, and it's the only number that matters. RevPAR. Revenue per available room, not per sold room. Per available room. Every door in the building, every night, whether anyone walked through it or not. Last year, American hotels ran a RevPAR of $100.02. That's the real rent. 160 on the sign, 100 in the till. And the difference is occupancy 62.3% nationally for the year. Now run the honest version of your napkin math. 150 rooms, 365 nights, at a RevPAR of $100.02. That's about $5.5 million a year. Not 8.8, 5.5. You just lost $3.3 million, and you haven't paid anybody yet. No staff. No laundry. No power bill. No mortgage. That $3.3 million was never revenue at all. It was 37.7% of your building sitting empty, on average, every night of the year. And it gets stranger, because in 2025 that number went the wrong way for the first time since 2020. Occupancy fell 1.2%. RevPAR fell to $100.02, down 0.3%. Rate went up almost a point, and it wasn't enough to cover the empty rooms. And here's something worse hiding inside that average, because no hotel actually runs at 62%. That's just where the arithmetic lands when you smooth out a year. A hotel by an airport or a convention center fills up Monday through Thursday with people whose companies are paying, and then empties out on Friday afternoon and sits half dark all weekend. A hotel near a beach does exactly the opposite. It's full Friday and Saturday at rates that would be illegal in February. And on a Tuesday in November, the lot has 4 cars in it, and one of them belongs to the manager. So you are not running a business at 62%. You are running one that's nearly full for part of the week and nearly empty for the rest of it. And you are paying for the whole building on both kinds of night. That's why hotel operators are obsessed with rate in a way that looks almost unhinged from the outside. The price of a room can double between a Tuesday and a Saturday, or between one Saturday and the next, because somebody booked a conference across the street. It isn't greed. It's a building trying to sell something that goes bad overnight, adjusting the price by the hour, the way a bakery marks down bread at closing time. That's the whole business in one line. You do not sell rooms. You rent time, and the clock does not stop. So why does anyone build these things? Because of what happens above a certain line, and to see it you have to split your costs in two. Some of your money moves with occupancy, housekeeping, laundry, the little bottles, the breakfast somebody actually eats, the commission on the booking. Last year that cost the average American hotel $48.32 per occupied room, up 12.8% in a single year from $42.82. Everything else does not move at all. The mortgage, property taxes, insurance, the front desk at 3 in the morning, the roof, the elevator inspection, the general manager. The building is heated and lit and staffed and insured whether you sell one room or 150. And that list is longer than people expect. Somebody has to be awake at the desk all night, and that person costs the same whether the hotel is full or holds 2 guests. The corridors are lit either way. The pool is heated and chlorinated and inspected either way. The elevators get serviced on a schedule that has nothing to do with how many people rode them. The insurance is written against the building, not against the occupancy. In an empty hotel, almost nothing gets cheaper except the towels. Now put those two facts together, because this is the engine of the entire industry. Selling one more room costs you about $48. That room sells for $160. So every additional night you fill hands you roughly $112 that falls almost straight to the bottom. And every night you don't fill costs you the fixed share anyway. That's the floor. There is an occupancy number below which the building loses money no matter how high you push the rate, and above which it prints. Across the United States, that break even sits around 37.3%. For luxury hotels it's lower, about 34.4%, because they sell restaurants and spas and ballrooms alongside the beds. 37.3% to survive. 62.3% is what the country actually runs, which sounds like a comfortable cushion, and for a normal year it is. That gap is where the money lies. It's why a hotel can throw off a gross operating profit margin of 38.3%, better than almost any building you can name. But read that margin carefully, because gross operating profit is not your money. It's what's left after you run the hotel, and before the fixed charges, property taxes, insurance, the management company's fee, the reserve you are contractually required to set aside to replace the furniture, and the mortgage on $33 million. So the honest description of a hotel is this: it's a business with a high floor, a high ceiling, and nothing whatsoever in between to catch you. 25 points of occupancy separate the average American hotel from the level where it stops covering its own costs. 25 points sounds like a lot. In 2020, the American hotel industry ran at 44% occupancy. Not for a bad month, for the year. Down a third from where it had been, the lowest figure ever recorded. And here is the number I've been holding since the start of this video. That year, American hotels passed 1 billion unsold room nights. The first time in history. For scale, the worst year of the 2009 financial crisis produced 786 million. A billion nights. Rooms that were cleaned, heated, insured, and staffed, that existed, that were never sold, and that can never be sold now. They didn't go into a warehouse to move next quarter. There is no next quarter for a Tuesday in April. That's what perishable inventory means, and it is the single most important thing to understand about this business. An office tower with a 10-year lease barely noticed 2020 for 18 months. Its tenants were contractually stuck. A hotel noticed it in about 9 days. Because a hotel's entire tenant base checks out every morning and has to be replaced by dinner. The lease term is the shock absorber. A hotel doesn't have one. And this is the part that makes hotels genuinely dangerous to own rather than merely volatile. When the night stops selling, they don't stop selling gradually. Every guest in your building has a checkout date within about a week. And once the phone stops ringing, there is nothing left in the pipeline holding the revenue up. An apartment landlord watching a recession has 12 months of signed leases to plan around. A hotel owner has until Thursday. Meanwhile, the fixed side doesn't move an inch. The mortgage payment on that $33 million arrives on exactly the same day it always did. Which is how owners actually lose these buildings. Not slowly. Take the District Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, 155 rooms. Almost exactly the hotel you were picturing at the start of this video, in the best hotel market in the country. A $33 million senior loan went bad, and the trust that held it took the property through foreclosure. The building didn't stop being a good building. The night stopped selling, and the mortgage didn't care. Then here's the other way it goes, and it has nothing to do with occupancy. Saunders spent years scaling a modern, apartment-style hotel operator, leasing units and running them like rooms. In late 2025, it filed for Chapter 7 liquidation, after Marriott pulled back on the licensing deal that was funneling it guests. That's the lesson people miss about putting somebody else's name on your sign. The flag is not a partner. It's a counterparty. And that relationship has one more edge to it that catches almost every first-time owner. When you buy a branded hotel, or when your franchise agreement comes up for renewal, the brand hands you a document called a Property Improvement Plan, a PIP. It's a mandatory renovation list. New carpet, new furniture, new lobby, new systems on their schedule to their standard at your expense. Guest rooms alone typically run $8,000 to $25,000 a key, and a full-scale renovation can reach $40,000 or more. On your hotel, that's a bill in the millions, arriving on a calendar you don't control, for a building you have already paid for once. You can refuse. You'll lose the flag, and with it the reservation system that was filling your rooms, which takes you straight back to the floor. And the same trap explains something owners complain about constantly and almost never escape. A large share of a hotel's bookings arrive through an online travel agency, Booking.com, Expedia, and the rest. Their commission used to sit around 10%. On plenty of bookings it now runs closer to 30%. Owners describe that as being held up. It isn't, quite. It's the perishability again, wearing a different coat. Because think about what an empty room is worth on the night it goes empty. Nothing. Zero forever. So a room sold at a punishing commission is not a room that lost you money. It's a room that would have earned you nothing at all, and now earns most of something. The booking sites did not invent that math. They found it. They built entire businesses in the gap between what a hotel wants for a room and what a hotel will take at 9 o'clock at night rather than let the room expire. That is why the commissions keep climbing, and why hotels keep paying them. When your inventory dies at sunrise, almost any price beats zero, and everyone on the other side of the table knows it. So what does an owner actually make? Run your hotel at national average performance, and you are looking at $5.5 million of revenue, and a gross operating profit somewhere around $2 million. Then the fixed charges arrive: property taxes, insurance, the management fee, the furniture reserve, and the debt service on everything you borrowed to build it. What survives that, in an average year at average performance, is a thin single-digit percentage of revenue. On a good year in a good market, it's a genuinely excellent business. On an average year at an average hotel, an owner can clear a few $100,000 on a $33 million asset and spend the entire year one bad quarter away from the floor. Which is the part that surprises people who come to hotels from other kinds of property. The returns are not actually spectacular. What's spectacular is the range. The same building in the same city with the same number of doors can hand you an outstanding year and a catastrophic one inside the same decade without changing anything about itself. A convention moves, an airline cuts a route, a competitor opens 2 blocks away with a newer lobby. None of that touches an office tower with signed leases for another 8 years. All of it hits a hotel this quarter. So the honest pitch is not that hotels are a bad business. It's that a hotel is a leveraged bet on how many strangers walk through one specific door over the next 12 months. And you are placing that bet with about $33 million, most of it borrowed. Which is why the smartest operators in this industry didn't try to win the fight. They changed the inventory. Extended stay hotels sell weeks instead of nights. Same building, same bed, same breakfast bar. But a guest who checks in for a month is a guest you don't have to resell tomorrow morning. The housekeeping cost collapses. The front desk gets quieter. And the perishability, the thing that makes this business so violent, mostly goes away. In normal years, that was worth about 6 to 7 points of occupancy over everyone else. A nice edge. Then 2020 arrived, the rest of the industry fell through the floor, and that gap blew out to roughly 20 points. They didn't out-negotiate the brands. They didn't out-market the booking sites. They just stopped selling a product that expires every morning. Everybody who looks at a hotel counts the rooms. 150 doors. $160, and a number that looks like 8.8 million. But you are not buying 150 rooms. You are buying 54,751 night leases a year, and the obligation to sell every last one of them before the sun comes up. The rooms were never the business. The nights are.